17 team intel drops were instrumental in pulling Anons back to their patriotism and back to their faith in God. And now the final phase of God's plan to save the world will take them back to the future. But what do we mean by back to the future?
The real question is, why is it necessary for the human race to travel thousands of years into the past to experience a new beginning? To answer that, we'll need to start at the old beginning. God created Earth as a free will zone, which means, among other things, that any beings outside the dome with the ability to enter can. And so this system was invaded.
The invasion took place during the Atlantis period, which was before the garden. The invaders used deception to insert themselves into Atlantean society, and this infiltration ultimately led to its downfall. The Genesis story is actually the story of what happened after this fall. It's also necessary to know where these invaders came from, and that is the Orion system.
But when a civil war on their home planet threatened to ravage it beyond repair, a large company of soldiers devised a breakaway plan to protect their queen and prevent the extinction of their race. They sought a domed initiatory realm in a free will zone, where the inhabitants were less advanced than they were. It was easy for the invaders to determine a system's level of technological development without entering it, based on whether or not the sun gate, or entry gate, was being guarded from the outside. And so, a nearby realm situated in the Sirius star system was found to be unguarded, and the overconfident breakaway group went in for the kill. They were not expecting two things: that the inhabitants would fight as fiercely as they did, and that their spacecrafts would be disabled by a built-in divine form of protection for the Sun Gate. Their losses were extensive, both of troops and spacecraft. Upon completing a lengthy repair on one of the disabled ships, a small unit decided to separate from the rest and regroup with a new strategy.
Now reduced to one spacecraft that held their queen, her key drones, and a small battalion of about 200, their only hope to save their race from certain extinction was to implement a nonviolent, clandestine invasion of Earth. This time, they came into the realm knowing their craft would be disabled by the Sun Gate. And so these highly advanced, low-frequency beings were trapped here. And when Lucifer was tossed out of the heavenly realm, the two groups joined forces against the human race. Which takes us to why the human race must be time-tunneled thousands of years into the past.
They're being sent back in time to take back the future that was stolen from them. And that future lies in the Earth-like realm within the Sirius star system. Of course, they will arrive long before its invasion, and even before its original habitation.
Which is why their timeline is a new beginning. With the 4 years of intensive training they'll undergo, the citizens of the New West will be receiving everything they need to keep their realm safe. Citizens will have a comprehensive knowledge base to draw from, and they'll develop a much stronger sense of integrity and character than was ever possible on Earth.
And here's why this is crucial. The level of advantage the enemies of humanity had on Earth was beyond unfair. In fact, the phrase easy as taking candy from a baby is an understatement. Now, if you followed this series from the start, you'll know that the rapture story, Nazi and I believe, does not match any story that's out there. So let's recap and flesh it out a bit more. The rapture and the second coming are two separate events. Those leaving at the rapture event are those who are vibrating in the mid-frequency range. These people are unknowingly choosing evil over good.
How can someone be unknowingly choosing evil? In this heavily infiltrated world, the ability to discern good and evil has literally been programmed out of the masses. Now let's talk about the two groups that will still be on Earth after the rapture event. We'll start with those in the low frequency range. This group is comprised of humans and human hybrids who are knowingly choosing evil over good. They will endure the Great Tribulation period, which ends at the second coming of King Yeshua, when they'll be judged and sentenced to an eternity in hell.
The other group staying behind is in the high frequency range. These are the true saints or believers in Jesus as the Son of God, and the 144,000 or starseeds. Both groups have been sealed by God to keep them safe during the majority of the Great Tribulation period, as they wage war against the powers, principalities, and rulers of the darkness of this world. At the second coming, they will be ascended up into the clouds to meet their King.
For more information about the Great Tribulation period, including how the saints will be trained for spiritual warfare, watch this series, The Collective Mission. For more information about the actual training the saints will receive, watch the Everyday Warfare series.
Now, we understand that the idea that the majority of non-believers will be rescued rather than judged is considered by most everyone to be entirely unscriptural. We, of course, disagree with the prevailing interpretations of Scripture on this topic. And for those who are able to give consideration to the history of Earth as presented here, they may also be able to understand why our rapture story is not a case of giving unbelievers a second chance. Because the truth is, they never had a first chance. Were the pilgrims who escaped the tyranny of their homeland by sailing to America on the Mayflower cheating because they were able to escape and start a new life in America? If you answered no, Then you may be one who is able to see the New West as humanity's fair first chance.
America is the world. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the New West, the Republic, as originally set forth in America's Constitution, will be the form of government for the entire world. By retruthing this video on April 3rd, 2024, President Trump was confirming that the nations of the world are already in alignment with America's constitutional republic. So, knowing this, what will life be like for those in the New West? Upon arrival in the New Beginning timeline, everyone's avatar will be in a state of optimal health, and everyone's mind will be renewed to an optimal performance capacity.
During the 4-year training period, the citizens will stay aboard the ships and live in a holographic environment that gives them the ability to feel as if they're all together in one place. The ships are extremely large. Think the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek. And they're well staffed and well stocked to prepare food and supply uniforms.
Throughout the training period, staggered teams will be going out to scout mining locations and to prepare the land for construction of the infrastructure.
Adults will regain their natural purity of spirit and be able to trust each other to not misinterpret shows of affection. This will enable adults to experience deep friendships with both males and females that were not possible on Earth.
Just as small children can hold hands and go skipping through a meadow with no sense of embarrassment, adults will feel free to engage in similar types of behavior with each other with no sense of inappropriateness or discomfort. Those who were married on Earth will be starting over from a renewed perspective that flows from an authentic desire to enter into a dynamic partnership.
Pets will remember their owners, but even the scope of these relationships will evolve into fresh new directions.
Both during and after the 4-year training period, levels of enthusiasm, optimism, creativity, inventiveness, and motivation will soar to new heights never before experienced on Earth.
Momentum will be easy to build and maintain, and the timeline build-out will progress with amazing speed.
The American dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is for the world. When their training is complete, these citizens will understand why they live in a domed initiatory realm.
These citizens will rapidly build out a real space program so they can send out security patrols to protect their realm from invasion. They'll also send scout craft outside the dome to seek out a real planet that will be suitable as their next home.
These citizens will build supersized spaceships that can transport their entire race to their new home.
These citizens will enjoy the experience of humanity's first true golden age.
These citizens from every nation on Earth will be living the fullness of the American dream.
If you understand that what Trump has done is put his entire family on the line in this craps game. And his legacy of his family and the generations to come is all rolling on whether he and the generals behind him have in fact got a winning man. And with them, all the rest of us. Does America survive where we're at? And what's that plan? How's that plan being played out? It was gamed out on computers. It was gamed out, 100,000 times before he got to Trump.
Why would military intelligence generals game out Earth's scenario thousands and thousands of times? The answer is that they were playing out every possible solution and getting the same result each time.
So, what changed when Trump was added into the equation? The Q plus operation that used Trump as a time traveler was the only scenario that output a win. Why? It granted the White Hats an advantage for the first time in human history.
This advantage signaled the deployment of the 17 movement, and gratefully it's been an overwhelming success.
And it was based on what if an alien race was to come to Earth, maybe just a handful of players, similar to what happened in the ancient times with the 200 that landed at Mount Hermon, these 200 giants. So the model that was used in this whole space alien thing was the 200. You see it in movies with The Man That Fell to Earth with David Bowie. And here's a guy, he wants to get back home, but the technology is not advanced enough here on the planet to build something that he can go home with. He needs all the various pieces of industry working together, a division of labor to make all the various types of components and pieces necessary to build a rocket to go home. Now, using that model and gaming it out, if you're going to take over the planet, how do you do it? How do you manage the technology? How do you focus the endeavors and the labors to do your bidding? You have a cult that wants to take over planet Earth. And that's who we're actually fighting here on the planet. And they've gotten their players that'll do their bidding into high positions, high office, with the goal being to leave the planet.
But the 17 movement was still not enough for a win in the computer game outs. Even with the 17 teams' countless victories, the depth of corruption within the Earth system is beyond remedy, which is why the majority of the human race is being rescued from the never-ending crimes against them and being given a fair first chance to go back before it all began and ensure it never happens.
Juan said the enemy wants to go home to Sirius. As we pointed out, their home was in the Orion system, and Sirius was where they invaded after destroying their home. The real reason they are determined to leave Earth is not to go home, but rather to escape God's judgment for what they've done to the whole of his beautiful creation.
By flipping the timeline back far enough, events in the future can be changed by billions of well-informed, deeply patriotic citizens working together from a common belief system and toward a common goal.
This is the plan that will save the world.
And now the game is about to restart. Once again, this ideal America that has always been the dream and is still the dream and is our goal, that city on the hill that Reagan spoke about. We seek to bring that to pass, and fights on. Enjoy the show.
I love it. I can't think of a better way to end the show than that right there.